So thank you, Lori. Yeah, so welcome everybody back to the members conference here. We really appreciate you joining us for the second day and taking some time out during your lunch break today. We have a couple more presentations, but this information session, as I call it, that we're going to do now, I don't want it to be confused with an actual ISBM Marketing Excellence Roundtable. So this is not necessarily a Marketing Excellence Roundtable. We have one of those scheduled for October 28th. So you can go now and register for that roundtable event. It'll be between 2 and 3 hours long. And I'll be reaching out to you to recruit as many members as I can to participate, as well as some of our partners and academics as well. But this is an information session about what is the ISBM Marketing Excellence Roundtable, and how can it help me, and what do we do, and who should attend, and that kind of thing. So I'll hit a little bit upon that, but I do want to say that each of our Marketing Excellence Roundtables sort of follow the same design format. We bring in some expertise and some topics of interest to the target audience for this roundtable. And we spend probably 2/3 of every meeting on those things, bringing value to those of you who are joining the roundtable so that you can drive marketing excellence across your company. And then we spend about the other third of each roundtable talking about some of the offerings that ISBM has to help drive marketing capabilities, getting your feedback on those topics, so that you can help shape our agenda so that we can best serve you. So even though today's session is not really a Marketing Excellence Roundtable as much as it is an information session, I have put together an agenda that sort of follows that design principle of providing you some useful insight and information first, and then seeking some feedback from you on one of our main offerings for 2022 at the latter part of this roundtable. So first of all, we show this slide at each roundtable just so everybody kind of gets the context of what the purpose of the roundtable is. So the roundtable is not a closed invitation event; it's an open invitation event. So we often get new people, different people, multiple people from the same company, and we love that. That is exactly what we want to see happen. In general, the topics are aimed at the members who have responsibilities to develop marketing competencies and capabilities at their company. Maybe they are driving a marketing excellence or commercial excellence transformation initiative like we saw from Beth Salentic yesterday at Marmon. Maybe they're overseeing their corporate university or in-house training program. Maybe they are your marketing VP or marketing director at the company who has also been assigned to be the conscious of marketing excellence to help drive marketing capability across their company. They might lead a marketing council, for example. So we have different people with different titles, as you can see here. When I was a member of ISBM through my DuPont membership, we always held these roundtables after the live members conference. You know, if you remember, and what we will be getting back to in 2022, we hope, is the live member conference will last a day and a half, and then we add a half day at the second day for the Marketing Excellence Roundtable. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again today, that was the most valuable part of the 2 days for me, because my role at DuPont during those years was to drive marketing excellence across global DuPont through the DuPont Marketing Excellence Initiative. And I used that roundtable for benchmarking, for ideas, for experts who I would bring into the DuPont program, and so forth and so on. And of course, we also shared the DuPont story at those roundtables. So before I get into some topics of interest for you all, I hope, are there any questions about the structure, the purpose, et cetera, of the roundtable? See who all the participants are here. I think I might call on somebody. As Das said this morning, this is the interactive part of the session. Is everybody's mic on? Is nobody hearing me? Am I talking out?
I can hear you, Rand. This is
Okay.
I can hear you, so I know you're coming through.
Okay,
And,
just checking.
If you could ask some folks who are on the call to even just speak to if they've been a member, to how it's gone for them, that'd be useful.
Well, I will say, yeah, I'm looking at the membership here, or the participants so far here, and I know that Jerry Katz always comes to the roundtable meetings, and here he comes sitting down now. But Jerry has been a frequent contributor to our roundtable meetings, and but Jerry is one of our partners, not necessarily one of our members. So unless Jerry has something he wants to add, I'm not going to pick on him as much as I'm going to call on somebody else to who I see. So I know Vic, you've participated in some roundtables, and now you're in a role where you're expected to drive commercial capabilities across the Danaher company. So do you have you participated in past roundtables? Or are you in your kitchen putting together a sandwich right now for during the lunch break?
This is a problem with not being able to read Zoom. Are you there, or is your computer just there? Right.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to move on in the interest of time. I'm not quite as skilled at getting that engagement as Das was this morning, but he's been doing it for many more years and at a much higher level than I have been. Okay, so as I said, our roundtables always start with a little bit of some expertise, and this is an information session, not a roundtable, but I'm still going to do that in an abbreviated fashion here. And the topic is going to be commercial transformations. What are some things that make them work? Let's talk about, since the theme of our members meeting today is the power of frameworks. I happened to participate last week in a webinar from Dr. Mohan Sawhney. He's been mentioned a couple times over the last couple days. Not surprising, because he's really renowned. He is an ISBM fellow. He is a chair at the Kellogg School of Management, which of course is one of the biggest and most prominent business schools in the country, with a really strong B2C presence. Anyway, Dr. Sawhney is renowned, as I said, and in this webinar, things roll off his tongue that are little bits of wisdom that that you just kind of pick up on and say, I've got to remember that. And this is one of those. He said that, you know, all transformations require a mindset, a skill set, and a tool set. And then he went on to talk about something else, but that just, you know, just a pearl of wisdom really resonated with me. And I started thinking about, what does he mean by a mindset, a skill set, and a tool set? Because this guy knows what he's talking about. Well, it's a pretty simple framework. Mindset is all about the change management necessary in a commercial transportation or transformation. The skill set is about building the capability of the organization to accomplish whatever the behaviors and the practices you're trying to put in place during the transformation. And then the tool set are the processes and tools and systems and things that a person has to have to make it all work, to put their skills and capabilities into practice. So a very simple framework that you can think about for running a transformational effort. And I was pretty pleased to hear this description, because I'm very familiar with the framework that we use at ISBM, which was also used in my years at the DuPont DMX transformation. And that's shown here in this pyramid. And this is our ISBM framework for transformations. And as you can see, it starts at the top. It's a pyramid model, just to make it visually simple. It starts at the top with change management, which is all about the mindset. We emphasize engagement of leaders. We have a stakeholder-based change management process, and we link whatever that transformation we're trying to make happen. You have to link it with the other key processes in the company. For example, if you're driving a marketing excellence transformation, you need to make sure that that transformation processes and things you're trying to put in place are linked to the talent management system. They're linked to sales enablement. They're linked to the innovation practices at the company and so forth. So mindset is at the top of our framework as well. And then skill set, that's at the meat of a transformation, right in the heart of our pyramid model. It's about building a curriculum that raises the skills and capabilities, and it uses many different ways of learning techniques. We call it multimodal curricula, as a fancy term for it. And an important component that we always emphasize is project-based learning. I think most people now know that project-based learning is the way to go. It can't be applied across the whole company. It is an intensive effort, but it needs to be an important part of your transformation effort. And then finally, the tool set. And in this pyramid, you can see that marketing framework and practices, which are the tools for a marketing transformation, is at the bottom of the pyramid. And the reason is because it's the foundation. From there, you develop the language, the common framework, the common practices that you then drive into the curricula and the learning experiences, and you drive change, making sure that those practices are reinforced by leadership and by key stakeholders. So two different ways to think about, I think, the same thing: keys to success for a commercial transformation: mindset, skill set, and tool set, and the ISBM framework for commercial transformations. If anybody has anything to share, you're always welcome to undo your mic or put something in the chat, and Lynn will pick up on that and break in. Okay, so another abbreviated value add into this information session on roundtables. How do you go about a commercial transformation? Well, we just showed a framework. It's simple and elegant, but there's a lot of detail and hard work that goes into commercial transformations, as you all for sure know and understand. Many different things involved in it, but here's one little bit, a nugget, I think, of good information. This just came out about a week or two ago, a McKinsey white paper based on research they just completed. And the topic of the white paper was, how many people are needed in a commercial transformation? Well, that's a question that I'd never thought of or heard of. So it immediately caught my interest. And of course, I read the white paper and sharing with you the bottom line of of this white paper is that their research, and the N equals 60 companies, so their sample size was 60 companies they studied, and they weren't looking at just marketing transformations. They were looking at various functional transformations or entire transformations of the company. But they found their research that you need to have at least 7% of employees to reach a tipping point in a transformation effort. And if you hit that 7%, then you are twice as likely to have positive results compared to those that don't, that hit a lesser percent than 7. So that kind of surprised me. I would have thought it was more like 30 or 40%. But I do know from past experiences that it's not 80 or 90 or 100%, because you do hit that tipping point where the new practice is so well established and is catching on, and the early adopters have already picked up on it. The middle of that curve are rapidly adopting the practices in the transformational effort, and now you've hit that tipping point, and it'll spread across the company. You're never going to get 100% adoption. We all know that, but you're aiming for that major tipping point. And in the case of the McKinsey study, they say you can get it at 7%. Now, if you read the article, which you can look at, it goes on to say the higher percent you get, the more the higher the positive results are, which makes sense. And the other two key things that they say is the way they define that 7% is involvement, meaning 7% of the people are involved. Involvement means that person has real ownership of an initiative or a milestone that contributes to the transformation. So when I read that as the definition of involvement, I started to realize, well, it isn't only 7% of the organization is participating in the transformation. It is more like probably 30 or 40 or 50%, because not everybody has ownership of part of the transformation plan. So that started to make more sense to me. If you're thinking about putting together a transformation initiative, you really need to think of ways to involve the broader organization, and having people in the broader organization have active responsibility in some meaningful initiative or milestone that's part of the transformation. But beware, because the research also showed that if you give someone more than 5 initiatives, you're going to greatly increase the risk of delay and effectiveness or value leakage of the transformation. So again, that to me just emphasizes you got to reach out into the organization, sometimes cross-functionally, and get other people. They may not be in your group. If you're in a corporate center, they likely aren't going to be in your group because you don't have enough people in your corporate center of excellence. So you really need to reach out and find other people who you're going to recruit to be actively involved in the transformation effort. Okay, so are there any comments about that or questions?
I always thought the 7% seemed very low. It's really surprising.
Yeah, well, I thought so too. But when you think about what their definition of involvement is, and you get your head around that, it may not be as low as you might think. So Beth, you're starting a commercial transformation, the commercial acceleration program. And when you think about the people that we can engage out there, what type of roles are you thinking this could apply to?
I think there's certainly some business unit leaders that would be able to get buy-in, and those business unit leaders all fall under a group. And so if we get the right people, they can influence the rest of their group and their group leaders, as well as some of the key marketing people. But I think it's really just trying to find some of those business leaders that have the buy-in, that are going to share that back amongst their group. That's the quickest way for us to get it, because we can't reach everybody. But if we get some people that buy into it within there a certain subsegment of those businesses, and we can get that word out faster and get the testimonial out faster.
Yeah. I'm also thinking of the team leaders, or the
Yep.
not just the formal team leaders of the 3 project teams, but also in each team, we will see some informal leaders emerge on those teams as well.
Yep, absolutely.
And also I'm thinking of some of the same as you, some of the key leaders out in the businesses. Maybe we need to engage them to help us recruit future participants in the training effort.
Yeah, I mean, I'm already pleasantly surprised in the 3 pilot groups that we have right now. Each of the presidents of those businesses are actively involved. And you would say that they won't do it. They don't have time to it. They're just going to delegate it. But I'm pleased to see that they're actively participating, and being a part of it, which I think is a huge way of just touting the importance of this amongst their teams.
Right. Very good. So Jim, there at HWI, you're in one of those roles I described earlier, whereas you have a full-time job, and yet you've been anointed the marketing excellence person for HWI. What do you see in this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good summary of it, right? We for all honesty, right, we don't really have a marketing department at this point in time. So I try to fill the gap where needed. Are you guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Oh, okay, sorry, my headset was blinking out there. Yeah, we've led several transformations over the last, well, as you know, over the last 3 years, with ERP implementation, pricing strategies, redefining markets and business units, and yeah, it's the early engagement in a beta group that's always that we've learned the hard way, right? Gives you the answers.
Yeah.
But after a few transformations, we're getting the hang of it now.
Yeah. Well, I really want to call on one more person. This person I've known for years, and he was a peer member like me from one of our fellow competing companies back in the days when I would attend all the ISBM meetings. And he's, like me, has been retired and has moved on to his own practice. And he may know who I'm talking about. But David, are you there on the line, ready to talk? I want to ask you about your observation relative with your Eastman experience. Bummer. So David's also just has his computer open. Got to be a way to see eyeballs, Lynn, somehow on Zoom.
Yeah, there used to be the ability to put a reaction, which was like a teacup or a coffee cup that said you'd gone away to get a cup of coffee. And that's, I don't know where those went, but they're not there anymore. So anyway, sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, I know David also has good experience in being in a corporate role, trying to drive and being successful at it, driving excellence across, in his case, Eastman. And he just wrote a new book and published it, and it shares a lot of the practices and expertise that he had. Okay, before I move on to the the part of the meeting where we're going to talk about the curricula track series for 2022, so I can get some feedback or at least introduce the topic, because I'll be following up with all members around feedback on this topic. Any other comments anybody wants to make? I see Sundar did put up a coffee cup. So that thing must still be there, Lynn.
Rand?
Yes, Bob.
You know, I just wanted to make a connection. The presentation we had yesterday morning, where we had in the center of the circle, and I think it was not Sarah, I can't remember her name, I'm blanking on her name, but it was an excellent presentation. And she talked about in that hub, that if the hub wasn't working right, that things don't change very well. And that 7% to me, I think correlated a bit with the hub, the folks in the hub. And obviously the rest around it would be engaged if the hub was working well. And some hubs, I've seen some hubs that just don't work at all. You know, literally the corporate leaders. And I think it reflects a lot, that research reflects a lot on probably that central piece.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's that was the circle of traction.
That's
Very
it.
very appropriately named by Laura.
Laura, that's
And-
right.
Yeah, that's a good point. That circle of traction, that center hub is really, if you look at that, it's like an end view of the axle that's driving the whole thing. And yeah, that might be right. I'll have to go back and look at that visual and see, but that 7% probably is heavily in that circle. Okay, well, let's move on to the topic that I will be seeking feedback on either today or in our one-on-one meetings that we've been having and will continue to have as the year goes on. And this is about, in general, it's about our ISBM curricula next year, but more specifically, it's about our B2B Mastery or track series. I'm sorry, I mixed up this title here on the cover slide here, but it's all about the ISBM B2B track series certification. And as you can see, this participating in all of these courses leads the participants to the certificate of B2B Marketing Mastery. We will be handing out those certificates soon to the participants in 2021. This year we had 12 people go through the track series. Our plan was to cap it at 15. We didn't have to cap it, but what we ended up having was 12 go through the whole series. And then in each of the individual courses, we had a few people signing up in addition to those who are going through all the courses. And for the most part, the series was designed well to accommodate that. But next year, we're going to be making a little bit of a tweak to that, to the ability to sign up. I'll explain that in a second. It was our first year we've ever done this. We believe it was successful and worthy of moving forward. We continue to get feedback that it's great to have a place to send people who need a comprehensive B2B marketing development at an advanced level that can be accomplished in a short period of time. And that's the beauty of the track series. So many of us came from non-marketing backgrounds and are put into marketing or innovation or product management, segment management roles, and we need to rapidly develop our capabilities in B2B marketing, and that's what this is designed for. So our instructors are shown here, very familiar to the ISBM community, years of experience, not only teaching MBA level courses in B2B marketing and other topics, but also all four of our instructors have just as extensive experience working with, in some cases, inside of in companies and also with companies in putting in place the best practices that they are experts in. So these are not only academics, but they're also practitioners, world-leading practitioners and academics, I might add. Sort of the, if you look carefully at the visuals at the bottom of this slide, you'll see that this series covers the very fundamentals of B2B marketing and takes a deep dive into the most critical ones. And the way we do that is we base load the series by Dr. Bob Thomas on the topic of B2B Marketing Foundations. So if you look at the three workshops that Bob teaches in this series, and he teaches them virtually, the first one is sort of the first stage of a typical strategic marketing framework. That's the insight stage, where you're analyzing the market and developing insights and so forth. The second workshop is around the strategy stage, and primarily focusing in on segmentation, targeting, and positioning. And then the third workshop is about the plan stage, and that's, you know, the 4 Ps and other elements of putting together and executing a plan. So Bob goes from soup to nuts in developing insights, strategy, and plan in his 3 virtual workshops. We use a case study that's been well developed for B2B in those workshops, and it's team-based, working on the case, so your hands-on application, and it's very effective. We also teach this foundational series inside, customized for several different member companies. This is the workshop that we're only going to put this workshop, if you sign up for this workshop, you have to go through all 3 of the workshops. You can't sign up for the first workshop and not the second and the third, or vice, you know, and so forth and so on. And the reason for that is that we put together teams, and the teams work together on the case. So if you show up at the second workshop, you didn't attend the first, then we found this year that people who did that, which we allowed this year, were a little bit lost, and it wasn't a very satisfactory experience for them. So we're going to try to avoid that next year. So there we've got the backbone of the series, but then we go deep diving into 3 different practice areas in B2B marketing: VOC, market and competitor analysis, and the concept of value and developing winning value propositions. These are some of the most fundamental and most important topics and skill sets and capabilities in B2B marketing. And so those workshops are designed to dive deeply into those topics. You can see that there are also a series of workshops, and you can also see, and I'll show you a better slide next, that they're broken up into live workshops and virtual workshops. Whereas Bob Thomas's will be virtual due to the nature of it. Works really effectively. So as we learn from 2021, we developed some objectives for 2022. We would like to have at least 2 cohorts or series of tracks going on in 2022. In other words, we're looking for 30 people across our different member companies to go through the entire track series. We think the way that might shake out is that one track series will be all virtual like we did in 2021. And one will be a combination of live and virtual. But this is an area that I am seeking feedback on from the members. I'll show you the schedule of how that's broken out here next. In 2021, the schedule of virtual workshops were spread out over 6 months. So about every 4 weeks, we hit a major topic. We want to reduce that to about every 3 weeks. We don't think that's going to be burdensome based on our experience from last year, and it'll reduce the cycle time down to 4 months. Obviously, we got feedback last year that says, people liked the workshops. They were effective, valuable, but it really would be nice if one day if we can do these things face to face. Well, we're hopeful that in 2022 we can make that happen. So we're thinking about that. One of the track series or cohorts being a combination of some sessions virtual and at least one 2 to 3 day live get together workshop where the participants come together with the instructors and have a traditional face-to-face workshop. If we can do that, we will logically schedule that live 2 to 3 day workshop in a convenient location. That could be Chicago, it could be Cleveland, it could be Philly, it could be Pittsburgh, it could be Raleigh. Obviously, some of those locations have a higher concentration of member companies around them than others. We'll dial that into our thinking. We'll also dial time of year and facility availability and all that stuff. But if we do that, we will also be conducting a regional ISBM networking event one of the afternoons and evenings of those live workshops. So we can bring in lots of other members in with an expert topic talker and get back to some of our live networking events that we've always done in the past. Not a members meeting, not a members conference, much more informal, less organized, more just sort of roundtable discussions about topics of interest. So that's what we hope to do. We also hope to conduct at least one customized track inside of a firm. So take the track series concept and think, gee, I have 15, 20 people inside our company who could use this training. Can you do it for us and make it highly relevant to us with your topics and your examples? Oh, and by the way, can you do it at our location, or can you do it at a time that's convenient for our participants? Oh, and by the way, maybe you may want to substitute one of the topics with a different topic. And indeed, we did one of those in 2021. We did a customized track inside of a company. We want to do at least one in 2022. We think the benefit and value is there for many more of these. So maybe we set our target. Maybe that's not a big, hairy goal. Maybe it's a easy to hit goal, but let's see what happens in 2022. But like I said, we did one of those for one of our member companies, and we substituted the VOC part and the market and competitive intelligence part with an intensive value pricing series of workshops, because this company was really challenged on their ability to do value pricing. And they realized that 2021 was going to be a huge year of opportunity for that. And so that's how we customize it for them. We have another proposal inside of another company that doesn't take any of those topics away. They wanted all of them, plus a couple more. So we've got that proposal in front of them now, and they're considering it for 2022. Here is the summary of how our track might be scheduled. We haven't finalized the dates yet. Indeed, that's the sort of feedback I'm out seeking from all of you member companies before we finalize and publish these dates. But this is a good straw model to look at. We want to start in February, and we'll start with Dr. Thomas on that first workshop of his, Marketing Insights. Be 2 days, 3 hours each day, virtual. We will then get together. Okay, so now we're doing Market Insights, which is about market assessment, customer assessment, competitive assessment, and so forth. So it only makes sense. Let's dive deep into those 3 topics now. And the way we propose to do that next year is bring people face to face, and bring both Dr. Fahey and Jerry Katz in to teach their workshops in a live face-to-face manner with all the participants. March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd would be maybe the dates we do that. So now we've really attacked Marketing Insight stage. We move back into a virtual workshop with Bob Thomas, and then we get into the second part of VOC, which is going out and sort of testing some of your strategy hypothesis with your customers. And that would be a virtual session. Then we come back together again with the final part of Bob, and that's marketing planning. And then we have maybe virtual, maybe live. The order of these 2 might change because value propositions actually fits back into marketing strategy. So that's sort of the feedback I'm out there seeking right now. But the reason we put it there at the end is that if the members wanted to have 2 live sessions, 3 or 4 virtual sessions and 2 live get-togethers, it would be that would probably be a good one we could end on live, is putting in place an effective value proposition. So the order of that one may change, may or may not. It may be virtual, it may be live. If we do these live, the cost is going to be for going through all of them is going to be about $8,400. That's a pretty good approximation. And like always, if a company has more than 2 or 3 people, then we begin to discount that for them. If we do them all virtual again, like we did in 2021, our price was $69.50. And again, as I said, we can take any of these topics and plug and play and do something in-house for your company if you desire. Okay, so are there any questions about our track series or any comments anybody wants to make? So Beth, sorry to bug on you again, but you happen to be one of our track participants this year. You wanted to test it out. Do you have some observations to share?
Yeah, I think for us, there were certainly some topics that were more valuable than others. Now, I went through everything on Zoom, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to participate in every class. And so the benefit of that was then that there was the links available that you could go back and look at those trainings later. But I think just connecting some of these topics with the instructors, and then figuring out what kind of plans that we can put in place for our businesses. But the order that things were done in the track was beneficial. Now, I have a marketing background, but for somebody that didn't as much, it was a logical build. Starting out with Bob Thomas and the basics of marketing and segmentation, and then working your way up into some more in-depth tools like the VOC and value propositions. It was all very beneficial. And I did like the variety of instructors too. Sometimes you get into, only, one track, same person's teaching everything. And it was nice to get people that were experts in their field and get exposure to it. The other nice thing about doing them on Zoom is that you had that, like direct line of conversation, so breaks and other things. You could actually bounce ideas and challenges off with the instructors, and everybody was very, very open to that. So, I mean, there's certainly pros and cons. The Zoom portion of it is nice for the fact that it was shorter chunks of time. But you did lose that kind of personal, like getting to know people from other companies that you would have had that conversation with. So there's certainly pros and cons of both, but overall, I'm a huge advocate for this track. Now, what we're going to do, and like what I explained yesterday in our strategic marketing framework, we're taking bits and pieces of this, and we'll look at rolling some of this out across the organization. So kind of what Rand was saying, instead of like maybe sending people to this track, we would look at doing some more customized solutions for trainings, either on business unit specific challenges, or look at rolling out some structured like VOC classes, and whoever wants to sign up can come in and sign up for those. And so we'll probably be picking a few of these and focusing on them as we look at rolling out our strategic marketing framework. But overall, I think it's just a great foundation.
Thanks, Beth. And obviously Beth is a very experienced marketer, and she wanted to participate sort of to see what this was all about and understand how it worked, because she sees potential at Marmon Holdings for it. Jim, I'm going to call on you again, buddy, because you sent some people from HWI through this series. How did that go?
It was good, Rand. The feedback, I'm really happy to hear the condensed timeline. That was the one negative that, honestly, I didn't feel like it was worth reaching out and letting you know. They said it wasn't a huge ordeal, but having that much space between really wasn't their favorite part of it. So you either others reached out and had a stronger feeling towards it, or you guys figured it out on your own. But either way, that was the part. I mean, the live face-to-face solves a lot of problems for us. I mean, our company is still out and about. We're allowed to travel. We're allowed to get together. There's nothing stopping us. So we prefer face-to-face, and the shorter timeline's great.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jim. Yeah, I'm glad you got positive feedback that on your attendees also. Are there any? Let's see if I recognize any attendees on the list here. I don't think so. If there's an attendee here, please speak up. No, okay. Okay, well, if anybody is daring enough to talk now and say, hey, we have some interest. I know Steve Bassetti there, you at Michelman, you already told me you have a couple people you think in your group that could really benefit from this. Usually when I talk to any member, they always see the fit and the opportunity that could fit. And so I really need to be reaching out, and I really need you guys to provide me some feedback on, is this a go? Do you think you have some people? It's all non-binding, but it gives us enough confidence to go ahead and schedule it and commit to the locations if we have to do that, and put it on the schedule, and then work hard on recruiting people. Because the last thing we want to do, the last few years, we've been very successful at not doing the last thing we want to do, and that is have to cancel training sessions. That we gotten into that mode about 4 or 5 years ago, and prior to that, where we had a pretty aggressive curricula and people would sign up, but we never got enough people and we had to cancel a lot of classes. It really doesn't work well when we do that. It puts people out. So we're trying to get enough confidence that says we're going to have a good base load of early interest. We know we can recruit the remaining seats, so let's go ahead and schedule it. So your indication of interest is really helpful for us in your feedback. Nope. So just to that end, think about these questions. If anybody wants to speak up now, please do. Otherwise, I will be seeking formal feedback from every company. Do you have some people new to marketing? I know most all of you do. Do you have marketers new to B2B? That's usually the case as well. Do you have people who would benefit? Yes. And also, I forgot to mention that this set of instructors, they all use a common set of B2B language and concepts because they've been teaching together for years and years. And their language and their practices are all derived from the ISBN value delivery framework. So the value of bringing it in-house, if you want us to bring one in-house, is we will snap our language to whatever your framework is and your common language. But if you go to an open course, you're going to see a consistency of content across each of these instructors, which is very important.
So I would say if folks want to give some feedback, you can just reply directly in the chat to Rand as well.
Yeah. One other thing that I will close on, and Lynn, actually, I almost used the whole hour, but
I knew you would. I wasn't really worried about that.
we do have time for questions, but one other point that I failed to put here, but we're going to talk about at the next Marketing Excellence Roundtable is this issue of attraction, retention, and attrition of talent. Lots of stuff going on in the war for talent right now. Keeping people from not retiring or quitting, attracting new people, and retaining the people that you have. I think over the years, and I'm bringing in some new research into this discussion on the 28th, but over the years, it's always shown that showing your support for development of people is a significant factor that aids in all of those. So keep that in mind also. And also when you bring people new in, you may have to staff your organization properly. You probably do need to be more flexible in the type of incoming skill sets that you need, and then train them to do what you want them to do. And this is a great, efficient, and effective way to get that done. Okay, Lynn, I've rambled on. Are there any final questions?
No, I think that was great. And I'm glad that was recorded. Lori, you can end the recording.